talking about advice for learning a language, especially English, because that's why we're here, right? We're all learning English, and everybody has a different way that they use to learn English. You know, what works for me maybe is a different to what you do. So when you learn English, you will have some things that you do. Maybe, you know, how do you learn so many words? What techniques do you do? How do you memorize the grammar? There's lots of things that we need to do when we learn a language. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to share with each other some tips that you do in particular. So what do you do when you learn English that helps you to learn English? Okay, so I don't want you to just talk about everything. I want you to talk about what do you do when you learn English. Okay, so we're going to give each other some advice. You know, advice means I can tell you what is good to do when you learn a language. And here's some examples, okay? So we're talking about advice for learning English. Okay, advice for learning English. And this is some advice, okay? So you could write it if you want. And Eloise says, my advice for learning English is to try to practice as much as possible. Listening to music in English, watching films with audio and subtitles in English, trying to converse, that means to have a conversation with locals at the markets, pharmacies and restaurants. So that's what Eloise finds works for her. That's what she knows that's good. That's what she does. So she does all of this because she knows that when she's learning a language, this is what works for her. As I said, we want to write. So I want you to write, but then I also want you to draw a picture, you know, to give us an image. So if you have a look at this one, this is the one that's up on the board there. So you could see there's a nice big title. It says Tips for Learning English. Number 1, ask a lot of questions. Subscribe to podcasts or YouTube channels. Take note of new vocabulary. Don't forget to have fun while you learn. Watch movies and listen to music. So this is another one here. Learn easy English. Memorize new words. So just remember, memorize in the Australian spelling should be S. Write new words. So I like the picture that you could see here. Use flashcards. Write subtitles of the films. So maybe she meant read the subtitles of films. Listen to podcasts. Listen to English music and make friends. So I like how she's got here maybe that's the Colombian and the Brazil. So she should have maybe the Australian flag or the USA flag. But because we're in Australia, she should have the USA flag. And maybe she's from Brazil, so the Brazil. And I like that they're shaking hands. So she's saying to you, you know, meet people that is a native speaker. Learn English. I don't know what she means outside. Okay, so that's an example. This is a really good poster. So she says, learn 5 words a day. Watch movies in England. And I like her picture. Listen to podcasts. Dance, follow, watch, cards. Okay, so she's telling you that this is what works for her. That's her advice. I have this one here, learning English. So you got someone speaking here. You need to lose your fear of speaking. So that means that you need to be confident and not be scared to make a mistake. Read a lot. That's really good. Read a lot, especially something that you're interested in. I always say read a book that's very simple, that's written for children. Live with people who only speak English. That's very good, a tip. Or maybe work, you know, work for a business that only speaks English. So these were just some ideas And then we have Mia, but her post is very, very long. Javiera. Javiera says, my advice for learning English is to take notes on any new words that you come across. I also listen to everything in English and subscribe to English teachers on TikTok. Curly says, you can make a plan. Say to study about 50 words a day. So that's really a lot of words. But that's what Curly wants to give you as an advice. So he says to study 50 words a day. You can try to express what you see in English. So if you're looking at something in your mind, try to say the words in English. So maybe you're just watching someone at the bus stop. Try to say in your mind, I can see a mother and her children at the bus stop. So always just try to speak to yourself in your mind in English. What are you looking at? You know, whether you're walking down the street or anything. Learning English is a long process. So we know that when you learn English, it's not going to be very quick. It's a very long, long time that you can learn it well, that you can speak, pronounce well. So you should stick to it. So stick to it means that don't give up, you know, always try a little bit every single day. Read and write more and learn lots of new words. And Henry, this was Henry's post from a long time ago. If you want to go to Australia, you should learn English first because English is very important for you to immerse yourself in a new country. So immerse means that you really have to try to feel the language, try to see the language, try to do everything that the native speaker will do, because that's how you'll get a really good experience when you're trying to learn a language. You should come in contact with native English speakers at work or at your course and take lots of notes of new words and expressions that you hear. So this is really good, not just words that you hear, but expressions and phrases. Like, for example, you know, we have a lot of phrases that we use in Australia that are very different to the phrases in America or in England. So make sure that you find out what's common, what are common phrases, and make sure that the phrases are, you know, that native speakers actually use them. Because sometimes I hear an English learner say a phrase or an expression, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't sound correct. You know, no one says it, so he looks a bit funny. So make sure that when you find an expression that the country will say, that people actually use it. Make sure it's, you know, it's usable, not something that's old, you know, an old expression or, you know, something that's just very strange. You want to make sure it's very common. Okay, so you can see that there's lots of advice. You can write and then also draw an image, make a poster, you know, make it fun. Put some images, some color on your poster. Especially when you're doing a poster, remember to don't write long sentences. Okay, so you want to just quickly say, what do you find that works for you? Okay, advice for learning English. Now, I'm going to tell you about my advice because I learned Spanish and Italian. And so what I would do is that I would look at the verbs and I would have my notebook and I would write all the verbs. So for example, speak, listen, draw, read, play, talk, decide. I would write all the verbs, but then I would also draw a picture with the verb. So when I draw a picture, it means that I can quickly remember that word very quickly. So for example, to study in Spanish is estudiar, right? To study. So I would draw a picture of maybe someone studying, and then I would write the verb estudiar. Okay. So always, for me, it was pictures. I needed to see the word and I would put colors. I would use lots of colors. And I started with my verbs. And then after, remember, your verbs is like your action words. After, I would then start to look at vocabulary for a house. Okay. And then look at like all the stuff that you could find in a house. And then I would look at the vocabulary for nature. Okay. And again, I would draw a picture of nature and I would start to draw a picture of the tree, a picture of a garden, a picture of a river. So I looked at a place and then I would draw the picture with the words of the language that I'm learning. So for me, I'm a visual learner. That means I need to see the picture of the word that I'm learning, not just to write it down and write down what it means, which is good, but I need to see the picture. So that's my advice for when you learn a language. Now, I also used to read children's book because I found that was very easy. Because you don't want to read a novel, a book that's very hard, because then you're just going to feel really sad. You're going to feel down that you don't know a lot of words. So start with a children's book, which is what you do, Lucy. You read to your daughter in English, and that's good. You said to me you like the pictures in the book. The words are easy, and it gives you, you know, a way to practice your English very slowly, very easy first before you read something very difficult. Yes. Yes, I know. That's funny. So even you see the picture and all you can remember is just the picture, because you need to write it in another book, draw the picture and then write the word. So you can't just look at it. You have to copy it into your own notes. So always have your own notes of all the new words that you see, or, you know, the pictures, but just write the English words next to them. Watching movies. I used to watch like very simple TV, you know, like Italian movies, and I would read the subtitles. I would have it in English, but then I would listen, you know, to the Italian. So when you watch a movie, make sure you put the English subtitles. I used to also have I used to just have a book of words. I think if you know a lot of words, then you can start to create sentences, even if your grammar is very bad. But if you know a lot of words, at least you could just talk, right? Yeah. Because sometimes your mind stops and it doesn't know how to say what you want to say. So just know a lot of words, start really simple, and, you know, do the lessons that we do together. So get yourself into a course. Really important. You cannot learn English by yourself. Okay, so you need to be in a course that is structured very well, a course that is giving you, you know, every week something to do. Okay, there's so many free stuff that you could read online, you know, but if you think about it, how much time do you really use when you read free stuff? Sometimes. But then after, you get lazy, you have to go cook, you have to take care of your daughter. So if you're in a course like the course that you are here, that's going to help you to come every single day, to do your lessons, to let the teacher fix your pronunciation, let the teacher tell you where your mistakes are. And that's what you should do. You should find a really great teacher, a really good course that you have that already, and ask questions. Sometimes you just want to listen, but at the same time, if you don't try to make a sentence, even if it's wrong, you won't know where you're going wrong. So when I used to learn Italian and Spanish, I like to write, and I would like to write about maybe what I did in my week. Just very simple. What did I do on the weekend? Or where is my favorite place? And why do I want to travel to this place? So I would write half a page and then I would give it to my teacher and she would fix my mistakes. So that's why we do a lot of exercises on Facebook. So when you come to my Facebook group, you could see that when you post to my post, I fix your English because I don't want you to just practice speaking. I want you to see where your mistakes are. And when you see where your mistakes are, you can know where you're going wrong. Because if nobody fixes your mistake, you're going to make the same mistake again and again and again. So again, that's why you need a native speaker. I wish when I learned Italian and Spanish, I had my course, but I wish I had extra teaching. I wish I got someone like me that would, sit with me, fix my English, made me write, stuff, make me write about what I did in my week or something. And then she would fix it exactly. Every single mistake, she would tell me where I did wrong. And then if I found a word that I didn't know how to pronounce, I would ask her if she could record it on, for example, WhatsApp. So in her voice, she would record the word for me. So now I have the word, I can listen to it. And that really helped me. I really liked having someone that is helping me to learn English because you cannot do it by yourself. And that's why you're very lucky that you are here in a course. You've got my Facebook page. You're writing a lot. You're reading everybody else's post. And when you read other people's posts, you learn from their mistakes. So always read my posts. So remember I said to you, do not read the comment, read my reply because I fixed the English. So don't read this one because you're going to read mistakes. So always read my response. You can see I always reply. So that's my advice for learning English. So as we know, there's lots of tips that we could do. I want you to tell me, what do you do for yourself that helps you? So I told you about my experience. I want to hear about your experience. So you can draw a picture and then you can upload it. And also maybe you can write as well for it. Okay, so I'll give you some time to think about some advice. Okay, and it has to be something that you do because you find it good. So you want to tell someone else what is good. Okay, so that's how we